Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Betholkis, and it's time for another episode. Well, it's a Sunday edition of Saturday Morning Blast Off, where I take the genre news of the week and any of the genre stuff you guys want to talk about. We talk about it. Welcome, everybody. Let me take care of some business first, and we'll get down to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library and pops it up here just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you're feeling lucky or you feel like gambling, you can hit that bell down below, and YouTube may or may not notify you when I come on live. Best thing to do is go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I have up there. I change it out every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media there and all the links to my pages as well. All right. With that said, let's get to it, shall we? So, yeah, I know I've missed the last couple of Saturday morning blast offs for, various reasons. Last one was August 21st. So, yeah, it's been a couple of weeks here. There really hasn't been that much news until now. I knew that D23 was going to be a slew of news. So, of course, I needed to do something for this. There's been smatterings here and there, but we're going to get down to it, shall we? Um, Sorry. That's great. Just had something stuck in my tooth there. I just realized. So, there's been a lot of stuff that's just been coming out. We've had trailers for just about everything, quite honestly. And some of the bigger trailers that we've had come out. Well, let's just start off with the Mandalorian. We'll get that out of the way here. So we had the Mandalorian season 3 trailer drop, and it's going to come out in February of 2023. Most likely that is going to be after. Oh, thank you, CBM. There's actually it's Robot Man. There you go. So February 2023, we know that the Bad Batch has now been moved back to January 4th because of Andor. It was supposed to come out this month, the Bad Batch. But because Andor got moved back to September 21st, Bad Batch got pushed to January 4th, which means that Mandalorian is coming out now February. My guess is near the end of February is where we're getting that. They didn't have a date on it. So the trailer for that looked fucking awesome. It really did. We're going to see Mandalore, of course. We're going to see some more of Bo-Katan. We're going to see her, some more of the armor, and if you watch the trailer, it's up on my page right now on the Facebook page. And the armor, of course, disavows him as being a Mandalorian because he took off his helmet. And Bo-Katan's like, no, your fucking cult basically destroyed Mandalore. So yeah, um, we've got that to look forward to. And that's not the only Star Wars news that we got. We also got another Tales of the Jedi is what it's called, and it's actually an animated shorts, I guess you could say. Yeah, it's animated shorts following Dooku and Ahsoka is what we've got. And that's actually closer. We've got that dropping on October 26th, Tales of the Jedi. And that actually looks pretty good. So it's by the same people who've done, the Clone Wars and did the Bad Batch. So it's Filoni and his group that's out there, and it looks good. So it's Ahsoka. It's Ahsoka when she was started off as a baby, and how she came into the Jedi Order, and then also Dooku when he's in the Jedi and ends up turning. So we got both of those to look forward to. And I believe there's 3 episodes a piece. And I think they're like 10-15 minute episodes, but they're all going to be dropping on October 26th. So we'll get to see what that is. I'll probably do an Is It Worth My Time on that one just to kind of cover that one because it looks good. And I'm always a sucker for the animation stuff that Filoni does and anything he's involved with, quite honestly. Yeah, I mean, we got to look at live action Sabine Wren, of course, for the Ahsoka series, and we also got announcement of who is playing Ezra Bridger, the live action Ezra Bridger. So that is Iman Esfandi. So they hadn't cast him as of yet, which I thought they had already done that, but no, it's now Iman Esfandi who has been finally cast as the live action Ezra Bridger in the Ahsoka series. They actually covered that one up fairly well because I mean the Ahsoka series has been filming for a little while now, so they did a good job of covering that one up. And I still believe Mads Mikkelsen, well, his son, oh shit, the guy who actually voiced, um, I'm blanking on his name. Good lord, Blue Skin Thrawn. There we go. The guy who voiced the animated Thrawn in the Clone Wars and also Rebels is supposed to be playing the live action Thrawn, and I still think that's the case. They still haven't announced it, made the official announcement as of yet. But that is, I'm fairly sure, still going to be happening um, because I believe they already filmed his sequences or started filming his sequences already. Sorry, there's just a lot of news and it's just all over the place, is really what it is. It's kind of one of those rare occasions when it rains, it pours kind of thing. Um, then, of course, we have a lot of Marvel news too. So we had a lot of Marvel news come out. But before we do that, I'm just going to hit a sour note here for a moment and just go over to non-Disney related news. So over on Amazon Prime, Paper Girls was canceled after after one season by Amazon, which is a disappointment. It was actually a really good series. It's being shopped around at the moment, and I hope they do find a home someplace because it actually was good. If you want to go back and take a look, and is it worth my time? I did cover that a bit, and it's a lot of time travel. It's good stuff, honestly, and it's based off of Brian K. Vaughan's book, the guy who did Why the Last Man. So, it's good stuff. Hey, Stanley, how's it going? Um, but yeah, I'm disappointed that that got canceled. And honestly, it's not too big of a surprise considering that Amazon didn't fucking promote it at all. Um, the producers, the people involved with it actually promoted it a lot more than anybody else did. I mean, Amazon did not spend any money on it. They were promoting Lord of the Rings more than anything else. Big surprise considering that they were spending $1 billion on that. But you think they could have just taken a little time out and promoted Paper Girls just a little bit. No, they did not cancel Rings of Power, Stanley, and they're not going to. They've got 2 seasons of that already that they're working on. They spent $1 billion. It's $500 million per season. CBM says that really sucks that it was canceled, and I hope it gets picked up by someone who does it. Yeah, I agree with you. The way it left, the Paper Girls was left off on a cliffhanger. Really, it was, and should have just rolled straight into season 2. But no, Amazon, just being the idiots that they are, canceled it. So, unfortunately. Um, so going back over to Marvel news, we have you know, we got Secret Invasion, which of course has Nick Fury, and that's coming out in 2023 to Disney Plus. And we see what Nick Fury's been up to all this time. Um, and he's essentially fighting the Skrull invasion. It looks really fucking good. So the trailer is up. The trailer for that just looks really good. I'm looking forward to this. This is one of those tentpole ones that I've been looking forward to from Disney Plus series, Marvel series, and having a bunch of scrolls that can shapeshift into other people's forms is. There's actually one scene where somebody's being threatened across the table, and you see everyone else stand up behind him. It's in a restaurant, and they all take on the same shape as the guy being threatened because they're all shape shifting scrolls. And it was one of those things. I'm like, fuck, man, that's actually pretty awesome. They did a good job. CBMs, I'm not sure which streamer would be in the position to grab it. Netflix, if anything. CBM. If Paper Girls was to go anywhere, it's gonna probably go Netflix. I don't think Hulu can absorb it. nor is Disney Plus the place for that as well. Um, so yeah, and since Amazon dumped it, I think it's going to be Netflix, if anything. Um, yeah, because I don't think it's going to go to HBO Max. They're in trouble. They're in just too much trouble at the moment. And I don't think it's going to go to Showtime or Stars either, because they're also in the same boat. Um, Showtime and Stars, I believe, are merging at the moment, and not merging, but they're gonna do a bundle deal, that kind of thing. And because no one wants to watch Stars anymore, and really no one wants to watch Showtime either. It's really not worth the money for what you're getting. Yes, Netflix does have money left, Stanley. They do. They lost some subscribers, but they're holding steady at the moment. They've cut a whole bunch of extraneous programming, and yeah, I think they're going to be better off for it. Quite honestly, they're much more stable than HBO Max right now. Nope, Netflix is not flailing. They're cutting a lot of dead weight that they should have done probably about a year ago. But there was a whole thing about Netflix should have been doing this a while back, and they just didn't. They wanted to kind of keep the ship going the same way it was going, and they kind of doubled down on it. And there was a couple of articles, like in Forbes and stuff like that, talking about it. And they didn't do what they were supposed to do. Now they're having to do what they were supposed to do because they lost, like, what was it, a million subscribers, something like that. And so of course now they're forced to do what they were supposed to do before, which is cut all the extraneous fat out of Netflix and make it a little bit leaner. And that's what they're doing. Yeah. Yeah, Netflix does well with and actually Netflix does well with the stuff that they do. I mean, Lupin is good. What else is good on there? Cobra Kai, of course. There's good stuff that's on there, and it's few and far in between, granted. But I just hope they start moving away from the fucking Kevin Hart movies, because Kevin Hart movies are all the same movies over and over and over again. That one with what's his name, Mark Wahlberg, was just fucking atrocious. Yeah, they need to move away from Kevin Hart. They need to move away from what's his face, Billy Madison. What's his fucking face? Need to move away from those guys completely, and just start bring in other, like, unknown comics and stuff like that, and you can if you have a good story or a good movie, then do it that way. Just don't rely on these names. Adam Sandler, thank you. Don't rely on the Adam Sandlers and Kevin Hart's movies, because those fucking suck. Yes, I agree. The bad movies with the expensive stars should be dropped. They need to have more scrutiny on those, and they need to rein that shit in quite a bit. So going back over to Marvel, so like I said, Secret Invasion's coming out in 2023. We also have Werewolf by Night, which looked awesome and was just kind of a weird trailer at the same time. That's dropping on October 7th, and that's coming to Disney Plus. It was all black and white and kind of done in 50s noir in a way, film noir, as a matter of fact, and it looked really weird and interesting. I kind of want to see where they're going to go with this. If it's going to be in that kind of vein, if they're going to do it in black and white, if they're going to do like old timey Hammer horror film, which is what this is. That's kind of how they're promoting it, and I like it, quite honestly. Um, this is some of the stuff that Disney does best. They are doing different things. They are not doing the same cookie cutter shit that everyone else is doing. DC. Um, and especially with the CW shows that DC has done, those are just crap. I am liking that they're doing different things like She-Hulk. Um, even Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel was a miss for me, but it was something different. She-Hulk is something different. Werewolf by Night is something different. Moon Knight was something different. And that's kind of what I like about what they're doing with this. They're taking chances with the format, and but also bringing in these characters. They are going to be part of the bigger MCU. They are actually part of the MCU now, and they can use these for films. They can reference them. They can bring them in as cameos if they really want to. They can do whatever they want with it, which is what the comics did too. Stanley says, I would like something in the Ash versus Evil Dead vein. I don't think you're going to get that with Werewolf by Night, but I think we're going to get more like Hammer horror films, is what we're going to get. And more almost kind of campy in a way, but still taken seriously. I agree, CBM. They're experimenting, and it is great. That is one of the things that's great about this is they are um and the thing is they're not just doing it willy-nilly, just throwing things at the walls to see what sticks. They are actually doing it in a smart way. They're going, okay, we have a certain format that we want, but we're willing to kind of play with it a bit. And so it's still a tight format. It's just, they're willing to go a little bit outside the box. So good stuff. I'm looking forward to that. Also, Ben Kingsley says he is returning to the role of Trevor Slattery for a Wonder Man series, which wasn't announced during D23 here, and still hasn't. D23 is still going going on, by the way, as of today. Today's the last day, and they still haven't announced the Wonder Man series, which is the live action Disney Plus series. But yeah, Ben Kingsley says that he is going to be back for that specifically. And I'm looking forward to that because Wonder Man was one of my favorite comics as well in the 90s. And yeah, I'm hoping they're going to do that one right. They really need to. That's going to be some fun stuff. Let's see what else we've got here. I'm actually looking at so May 26th, we're gonna get the Little Mermaid live action that comes to theaters. Then, of course, a lot of people are up in arms because Ariel is now black. I mean, come on, man. That really shouldn't be a big deal. It really shouldn't. So, I'm not gonna go and see it. I was never a fan of the animated Little Mermaid movie, so I was way too old by the time that thing came out, so that was not my age group. But some people were. So, yeah, I mean, they can voice over anybody, CBM, and put in the singing of anybody in there. They've been doing that in movies forever. Holy crap! What was that? Sorry, there's something loud outside. I don't know if anyone heard that through my microphone, but it was something that was pretty loud. We also on November 16th are getting the Santa Clauses, which is Tim Allen coming back, and he's supposed to be retiring as Santa Claus, and then he's trying to recruit a new Santa Claus, and that's going to be a series as well. So yeah. Stanley says, "Boohoo, Cry Me a River. Not interested in the live action remakes anyway, independent of casting." Yeah, I haven't been either. So I agree with you. I mean, the animation stuff works. I don't need to go and see live action versions of these things. Although they are doing a sequel to The Lion King. Um, yeah, the live action Lion King. They're doing Mustafa, I think is what it's called. I don't know, but yeah, they're doing a live action Lion King remake or sequel. Excuse me. One thing I am interested in, there was a teaser for Percy Jackson and the Olympians, which is going to be a series in Disney Plus, and supposedly it follows the books, which I heard were really good. The movies actually were decent. They weren't horribly bad, but they weren't great either. And I understand that the author of the novels is actually going to be involved in this, or has been involved in this series. And if you take a look at the first trailer, the teaser trailer, it's just basically Percy talking about what it is to be a half blood, and that it's not great. So I'll give it a chance and take a look at it and see. It's probably going to be, yes, it's going to be YA, Stanley. It is. But you know what? Some of the YA stuff actually isn't bad. I mean, about 90% of it is bad, but there's 10% of it out there that isn't bad and crosses over. So I'll give it a chance and see what it's like. So there we go. CBM says the live actions are getting tedious. True, Disney live action features feel creatively drained. Yes, I mean, so what used to happen for Disney is they would lock an animated feature away in the vault for a generation, and then they would release it again for a new generation. That doesn't work anymore now that physical media is pretty much dead in a way. At least that's what they keep telling us, even though I keep buying physical media. Um, and so what they're doing is their idea is they're going to re-release these animated classics in a new way by doing live action remakes of them. That's what their whole plan is. Although I don't know if that's going to survive with the new Disney chairman. That I'm guessing that Little Mermaid might be their last gasp on that one, which I hope that's the case, and then that's going to be it. Well, after the Lion King sequel. So yeah. Uh, Stanley says, "Bring on." So the Song of the South. I just came back from Disneyland. I was at Disneyland not last week, but the week before, and I took the Disneyland train just because I hadn't been on the train before and I didn't know why. So I just took the train. I took it around the park, and when you go past Splash Mountain, or not, yeah, well, it's kind of Splash Mountain now, which used to have the Briar Patch and Song of the South and all that stuff. So Zippity Doodah, they don't do Zippity Doodah in the Splash Mountain portion anymore. But when you're riding the train through, you go underneath it, and they do have the Zippity Doodah song going on down there. There's a little you go through a tunnel, and there is a little critter country area down there that all the critters are singing Zippity Doodah. So yeah, that's the only place that it's left at the moment. Um, so yeah, I thought that was interesting, considering that they're talking about scrubbing completely from Disneyland lore. Let's see what else is there. Sorry. So October 21st, we know that Black Adam's coming out. Switching gears a little bit here. Uh, they released a second trailer where Black Adam is now kind of an anti-hero, and that's what they're going to try and sell him as an anti-hero, because of course it's The Rock and he has to be a hero of some kind. He honestly sanitizes so much of his movies, it's just ridiculous that I don't know if I'm gonna see this one. I'll end up seeing it in the theater most likely because, I'm covering it for this channel, but I don't think I'm gonna be digging it too much. So, yeah. Also on October 21st, this was kind of an interesting one. The Peripheral is gonna be a new series on Amazon Prime, and that is, Chloe Moretz, she is starring in that. She is so the book, The Peripheral, is based on a book by William Gibson, and from Neuromancer and all that stuff. And it's a popular William Gibson book. So she is starring in this. Essentially, it's a girl that is living in this small town. She is very adept at electronics, stuff like that, fixing electronics and whatnot. And so people are always asking her, why is she living in this small town? And we don't know why. And she knows somebody who has this new headset that she ends up putting on and trying out. And it's a virtual reality, supposedly a virtual reality, but supposedly whatever happens in there also matters. I don't know exactly. There's a lot of things about William Gibson's novelizations that bother me personally. The guy is a confessed Luddite. He does not use a computer for writing any of these items. He uses no electronics. He's scared of actually technology and electronics. He has admitted this, and yet all of his stories are about these technological futures that really there's big holes in there in some of the plots. That's all I'm going to say on that. That's why I've never really gotten into William Gibson stuff. There's usually something in there that throws me off, and I can't get past it in his writing, and it usually puts me off of his writing and his stories completely at that point. Exactly, CBM. He really doesn't understand what he's complaining about, even though supposedly he does research on this stuff. I don't know how he does that research, considering that he doesn't use a computer. So, um, yeah. But anyway, that's coming out October 21st on Prime Video. I don't know if they're releasing it all at once, which I think they're going to. I don't think they're going to do what they're doing with Lord of the Rings or The Boys, where they're releasing, the first 3 episodes and then doing an episode a week. I'm fairly sure they're just going to dump it all at once, like they did. And honestly, they haven't promoted this shit at all. It's coming out October 21st, and I haven't seen any advertisement for it whatsoever. I stumbled across that video on YouTube, and I was like, "What's this?" And I played it, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." Didn't know that was coming, but go figure you know? So I'm fairly sure they're just dumping it there to be canceled so it doesn't get a second season. It's my guess on that. So I'm going deeper into the past here and stuff that I know I didn't cover. Uh, oh, yes. Harley Quinn has been renewed for a 4th season of HBO Max. We got that news at the beginning of the month, and looking forward to I'm hoping this actually translates over to Doom Patrol also getting a fourth, getting a 5th season. I know they're doing their 4th season right now, but yeah, I really 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 want this to also translate over to Doom Patrol as well. But Harley Quinn is just a really good show. If you haven't watched it, go on watch it. um the Batman Begins Forever episode is like one of the best episodes of this season. It's, how can I put this? It redoes Bruce Wayne's, reason for being Batman in such a good way that it's ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous that it could reimagine, not even reimagine, it just kinda reframes, how Bruce looks at his parents' death in such a shocking way that you're just like, "Okay, yeah, I get that." And makes it fresh again, and you feel that pain that he feels, that kind of stuff. They did it in such a good way. It's yeah, really, really good. So the 2 showrunners, by the way, for Harley Quinn are not gonna be the showrunners for season 4. It's actually gonna be the head writer who's been there since season 1, who is now taking over for as the showrunner for season 4. So we'll see how that goes. I know that the guys who created the show were actually the showrunners, and they are going off, I think, to go and do something else, if I remember correctly. But the head writer that's been there since the beginning is actually going to be taking over as showrunner. So yeah, that worries me a little bit as well. CBM, I agree, but I think I can live with it as long as none of the quality suffers on any of that. Yeah, we'll see what happens. What else do I have here? Um, oh yeah. So September 27th, Rob Zombie's version of the Munsters is going to hit Netflix. If anyone's interested in that, I'm really not. That's fine. It just looks like trash. It really does. It just looks like complete and total trash, like most of Rob Zombie stuff. And why Netflix threw money at that one, I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe they know that he does shit on a budget, but like for $12. So yeah. Also, Netflix has canceled Resident Evil after 1 season, which is good. That 1st season wasn't good. It wasn't great. I should say it wasn't horribly bad, but it also wasn't good either. And it was just too all over the place. Yeah, I agree with you. Cheryl Zombie, I guess is what her name is. is just a fucking horrible actress. I mean, you wanna talk about nepotism? That's nepotism right there. I mean, although she probably isn't working for anything, which is it shows that, you get what you pay for. Um, ugh, and I'm still trying to figure out who's worse of an actress, if it's her, or it's Kevin Smith's kid. Um, I kind of would think that if you could put 2 of them in a show together and see which one could, be as the worst actress out of the 2 of them, I think it'd still be a toss-up, but yeah. But, oh god, she sucks as an actress. She really does. But yeah, not a, real big, uh, loss on Resident Evil being canceled. House of the Dragon, by the way, has been renewed for a 2nd season on HBO Max. This is no surprise. It had 25 million viewers in the first, episode, somewhere around there. I think on the first night, it had 25 million viewers. That is a huge, huge chunk of viewers. So yeah, of course, HBO was just like, "Yep, fuck it, we're renewing that one." Yeah. Yeah, House of the Dragon is pretty good so far, I have to admit. Even with the time jumps and stuff like that, it's still, it's still decent. The time jumps are kind of confusing, especially when they're not really telling you that there are time jumps. They throw it in just like a sentence, or you notice that the kid's gone from a baby to a 3-year-old or 4-year-old at that point, and you're like, okay, cool. Or I should say, she went from being pregnant to, or not even being pregnant, to getting married to having a kid, by the third episode, and being pregnant. So yeah, that's not surprising that they're going to have a season 2 for that one. Um oh yeah, and then this one was kind of interesting. Jeffrey Dean Morgan has been cast in season 4 of The Boys. We don't know as what as of yet, but yeah, Jeffrey Dean Morgan has been cast in season 4 of The Boys. Um, I'm kind of hoping it's like uh, I want it to be something kind of like The Comedian in a way, but like just really, really fucking perverse. Because I think that is Jeffrey Dean Morgan's wheelhouse, quite honestly. Uh, Yeah, and I mean, it's Eric Kripke, so this is an Eric Kripke run show, so of course he's bringing in people from Supernatural. He already brought Jensen Ackles in, and the thing that's making me laugh about bringing Jensen Ackles in is people who've just been watching The Boys and they saw the they saw, him in The Boys as Soldier Boy. They started watching Supernatural now because of this, and they're like, "Holy shit, why haven't I been watching Supernatural since then?" And it's like, yeah, because Jensen Ackles is a really good actor, and I've been talking about this for a while now that, he is actually just this really good actor who's fun to watch and versatile. And it's kind of funny just seeing that him getting this resurgence of people watching Supernatural now. The comedian Stanley was Watchmen. So if you go back to what was it? I want to say like 2010 or something like that. Zack Snyder did remember the Watchmen, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan played the comedian. So I'm kind of hoping it's a perverse cover of that. That's what I'm looking at. Rings of Power I find boring, but the trolls are all over that one. No, to each their own. Like I said, there's plenty of stuff out there for everybody at this point. There really is plenty of stuff out there for everyone to watch. So if something doesn't float your boat, uh, something else will. Umbrella Academy has been renewed for a final 4th season over at Netflix. So it's getting a 4th and final season. Hopefully, it's not all about Vanya this time around. I really, ugh, kind of going back over season 3 and the amount of time they spent on Vanya's storyline didn't need to be that long. They could have just mentioned it and gone on with it. And instead, they kind of belabored the point. They really did. Stanley says, I hope Kripke brings Abigail Spencer from Timeless into the boys. That would be interesting too. Considering that, Rufus from Timeless is over there right now. Remember the guy who got his dick froze off? So yeah, he's bringing in people from, you know, uh, don't dead name him. What do you mean, don't dead name him? What are you talking about? Um, so yeah, it's uh, I oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Vanya, that's right. There's no Vanya became Victor. I'm sorry. I did that's right. Victor. The Victor storyline. Um Apologies on that one. So they just need to fucking move past that. All they needed to do was spend maybe an episode on that and then move on. That's all they need to do. But instead, they belabored it a little too much. And yeah, yeah, at the expense of other characters, quite honestly. And they also dumbed down some other characters like Diego and Luther. So you know, and even God, I can't remember Diego's wife. Shit, I'm blanking on her name now. They dumbed down all those characters. They really did, and they didn't need to. So, um, oh yeah. So October 7th, the Hellraiser reboot comes to Hulu. So, excuse me. Now it's going to be a female Hellraiser, is what we're going to get out of that. Yeah. So, um, yeah, I'm okay with that. It looks interesting. I was never a big Hellraiser fan. I mean, I've seen it and I was like, okay, that's great, whatever. But yes, they are. So October 7th, that's going straight to Hulu, by the way, which is kind of funny since Hulu is owned by Disney that they're doing that. CBM says, yeah, Diego and Luther especially got too dumb. I agree. Yeah. And Stanley says, I find it a little weird that one actor brings his personal shit into a show that much. Yeah. Um, that was a thing that bothered me too, Stanley. I mean, it's like it didn't bother me that you have a transition from a trans actor uh, moving over from one gender to another, and it really didn't need to be made into that big of a deal, and yet it was. So I don't know. um And yes, that's already old news. I had September 8th. Robert Zemeckis' Pinocchio comes to Disney Plus, so that's already out there. I'm going to be covering that Tuesday. I just need to watch it first. This was some interesting news, by the way. So Matilda Lutz has been cast as Red Sonja, and MJ Bassett, who directed the really good movie Solomon Kane. If you haven't watched Solomon Kane, go and find it. It's a really good rendition of Solomon Kane, which is also Robert E. Howard's, based off a Robert E. Howard story. So MJ Bassett is directing Red Sonja. Matilda Lutz is now going to be starring as Red Sonja, and this actually looks like a really good lineup, quite honestly. I'm looking forward to this. Hopefully we get a good Red Sonja movie out of all of this, and hopefully it follows through. I mean, hopefully they are able to make it and put it out there, and it doesn't get shit canned or anything like that. Yeah, Stanley, Solomon Kane is one of those movies that's just this diamond in the rough that no one knows about. I've got it on DVD someplace up here. Um, but yeah, I love that movie. That movie's just gold. Every now and then I remember it and I'm like, oh yeah, I've got it on DVD. I pull it out and I will watch it and I'm like, this is a really good movie. But good stuff. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And hopefully if he does just as good of a job as he did on Solomon Kane with Red Sonja, we get something else there. So HBO Max had canceled 5 animated projects that were in the works already. This is including an Amazing World of Gumball movie, which some of the younger viewers might have know that that series. And the other thing that actually kind of that irked me was Batman: The Caped Crusader, which would have been a continuation of the '90s Bruce Timm series, the animated series. Tim was returning to produce it along with J.J. Abrams, and it was done for the most part. It was just getting ready to be released, and they're shopping it around right now. They're shopping around to other areas, but yeah, I can't believe that HBO Max just kind of canceled that. Their whole animation department kind of got wiped off the board. I've said this before, and it's a shame, really, because that is a great medium in order to tell stories that are too complex sometimes to shoot live action. So, yeah, unfortunately, that's where we're at with that one. Hopefully, they get it shopped around someplace. And I believe that is all I've got news wise. That is all I've got news wise because, that is a lot of news as it is. Yeah. Um, did I talk about that? I might not have talked about that. Hang on just one second as I'm scrolling through. Yeah, I already did talked about that. Okay. So CBM says I'm really hoping that Batman gets picked up somewhere and maybe Netflix will put in for it because Batman makes money. Yeah, I know there is like kind of a scramble for that one at the moment, like a bidding war going on. And I'm hoping that it does land someplace. I would kind of find it funny if Amazon just grabbed it and put it up. Because I think Amazon right now is the biggest it's the biggest streaming competitor to HBO Max right now. Can DC stuff live outside of HBO Max? Yeah, it can. This isn't so it's Warner Brothers, Warner Brothers Studio. So Warner Brothers Studio, if it does not get picked up by HBO Max, then they can shop it around to someplace else because it's already done. It's already produced and completed. It just needs distribution rights. That's all it is. So all you're doing is you are making negotiations for the distribution rights, which means that whoever distributes it gets a cut of the money for the distribution. They or actually they get the majority of the money, and then they pay so much to Warner Brothers, and for a certain amount of time. CBM says Netflix hold Canada Titans in Canada. Yeah, yeah. So I'm sorry. Yeah, Titans is just bad. It really is. It's horribly, horribly bad. I'm really not looking forward to the next season of Titans. I'm really not. So Indiana Jones 5, by the way, also did show its first footage at D23, and people are raving about it as well. I forgot to mention there's also some other stuff too. We got the Marvels, Loki season 2, Echo, and Ironheart were all unveiled too at D23, as well as Thunderbolts. So we had a lot of stuff that was actually released there. Um, Also Wakanda Forever. They had the Wakanda Forever panel, um, and I'm kind of looking forward to a good majority of the stuff that's coming out. I really am. Uh, I'm looking here as we're talking. So also Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantum Mania. They showed some footage for that as well. They did release the lineup for Thunderbolts. Also Daredevil Born Again. They basically said that Daredevil Born Again is going to be an 18 episode series, which means they're probably going to break it up into 2 seasons of 9 episodes apiece. So yeah, there we go. Stanley says we have WB stuff on Netflix over here. Just not sure if DC things are part of it. Yeah, they're probably, like I said, they're paying distribution rights at that point. CBM says, yes, I have access to it, still not watching it. I don't blame you. Are we collectively excited for Andor? No, I am not. We already know what happens to all the characters. So I'm really not, you know. This is one of the characters in Star Wars that was not begging for his own series. He really wasn't. And I'm not sold on it. I might change my tune when I see it, of course. But right now, I'm really indifferent to Andor. I'm gonna cover it, of course. But yeah, I'm really not jonesed about it. And the fact that Disney is dumping the first 3 episodes, it's 6 episodes, by the way, for the series for the first season. And I think that, yeah, they said there's 2 seasons out of this. So they're dumping the first 3 episodes the first night that it comes out. Then they're going to do an episode a week for, the following 3 weeks, which doesn't bode well for what Disney is looking at it as. Um, CBM said, I know people wanted more from D23, but I kind of loved what we got, so I can't complain. Yeah, actually, I was thinking I might. I almost bought tickets for the Disney 23 Expo for this year, but I held off on it because I was, waiting for Comic Con for my press pass on that. I think next year I'm probably gonna, just bite the bullet and buy the D23 tickets and do that instead of going to Comic Con. So Comic Con is okay, but I've been there, done that. I don't need to do it anymore. So, yeah. And let's face it, I mean, honestly, Comic-Con just keeps releasing the same crap over and over again. Um, Stanley says, same here so far. Maybe it will surprise us. Only 6. Yeah, it's only 6 episodes. At least last I saw. Let me just make sure of that before I, open my mouth and insert my foot on that. I am fairly sure it's only 6 episodes. Oh, I take that back. It's 8 episodes. It's 3 seasons is what that is that right? No, I take that back. It's 2 seasons and it's 12 episodes. There we go. It's 12 episodes a season. So that makes more sense then. I had heard that it was only going to be 6 episodes, but there we go. I proved myself wrong. Ah, man. Oh yeah, so also we got Captain America New World Order, which is supposed to be coming out in May of 2023. And I found this fairly interesting. What the lineup for that one is, of course, Anthony Mackie is Captain America, but we're also going to get the leader. Remember the guy who is in the Tim Norton Incredible Hulk movie, who was fucking around with Bruce Banner's blood and it dripped on his head. He's coming back as the leader. He's actually going to be the leader in that one. And then they are also going to be bringing in a Israeli superhero named Sabra, which is a fucking deep cut. I mean, it's a complete and total deep cut in Marvel Comics, and that's going to be another person who comes in as well. And I'm like, holy shit! Really, they're actually going to do that for that, and that's interesting. It's a Tim Norton one. The Ed Norton, excuse me, Ed Norton. Yes, not Tim Norton. You got me doing it now. It's yeah, Ed Norton. One, but not Ed Norton coming back. It is fuck, I can't remember his name. I can see his face. He was in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? He was also he's been in tons and tons of movies. He's actually a really good actor. And um, Tim Blake Nelson. Tim Blake Nelson is coming back as Samuel Stearns, who becomes the leader. So Tim Blake Nelson. But the fact that they're bringing in an Israeli superhero, Sabra, which is just like I said, it's so fucking obscure, such a fucking deep cut from the comics. It's ridiculous. Yeah. But yeah, there's so much stuff coming out. It's Marvel has basically put out their entire um, you know timetable of stuff until 2025 is really what they've done. So it's interesting that they've done that. Um, where are we? So the Thunderbolts, I want to say, going back, I'm trying to see where the Thunderbolts is here. Oh, also Echo. We have, the series Echo is coming out as well. There we go. So Thunderbolts is going to be Ghost, Red Guardian, White Widow, which is, Yelena. She's going to be in it. Winter Soldier, U.S. Agent, and Taskmaster. And then, of course, Valentina. So, yeah. And that is going to be kind of an interesting lineup. It really is for Thunderbolts. And I was just talking to a good friend of mine this morning. And who I ran into. I was out and about doing some errands, and we were talking about it. And if they follow some of the comics, um, if this follows some of the comics in a way, it could be where this ends up being a privatized superhero army that ends up falling under the Kingpin. Because the Kingpin is supposed to show back up in Echo. He's not dead, obviously. And in the comics, he ends up becoming mayor of New York, the Kingpin, and he outlaws all superheroes and ends up, the Thunderbolts end up becoming the only sanctioned superhero group in New York City. And they're made up of heroes and villains, and they all answer to the Kingpin. And supposedly he treats them as like they're like his own personal army. So that'd be fairly interesting if that's the case. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff coming out. There are a lot of good things coming out. We also got Willow, by the way, which is coming out on November 30th. That's going to be a series as well, and we got the trailer for that. And honestly, it just looks like the old movie. It really does. Um, I wasn't a fan. I was too old for that movie when it came out, and so it never really resonated with me. I know it resonates with children for the most part, but it didn't resonate with me at all. I saw it, but yeah. I'm looking to see if there's anything else at the moment. There's all kinds of stuff that's coming out, and yeah. One other place I'm going to take a quick peek, and then I think that'll do it. I mean, there's enough stuff out there, like I said. um, where are we here? I know it's like watching somebody scroll through the internet, huh? It's always exciting. Um, and Star Wars has there's a Star Wars movie that has added Squid Game star Lee Jung Jae, the guy who was the main character. He has joined the Acolyte series. He's joined that series. So that's going to be interesting to see who he plays in that. Um, yeah. I'm hoping, by the way, too, that we get. I was just seeing something about Rosario Dawson having unfinished business with Marvel, and I'm hoping she comes back as the night nurse in some of these things because that would be interesting bringing the night nurse back in. She needs to really happen. That needs to happen. Oh, yeah. And by the way, so Dan Lin was a person that was in the running to become the DCEU chief. He was going to be their Kevin Feige, if you will, to oversee all the DCEU movies. He's no longer in talks for that. So yeah, that's fallen through, which honestly I'm okay with. They need to find somebody who actually has a comic background, and I don't think he had a strong comic background, quite honestly. They need to have someone who's a fucking fanboy of DC Comics. Quite honestly, I hate to say this, but James Gunn would fit the bill so well. Anyone who puts a live action Starro into a fucking DCU movie, that right there is someone who needs to actually be in charge of the DCU. It would be insane. I know it would be insane because he would actually take chances that the Warner Brothers executives would probably shit themselves. All the coke would come out of their ass at that point too. Um, but I think it would be necessary, and I think it would actually bring in tons and tons and tons of money. So they would be smart to just back up a fucking, a couple dump trucks full of, gold and just dump it into James Gunn's driveway and say, "Hey, you want to be our lead for the DCEU? You want to be our Kevin Feige?" I think that would work. We also got the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special that's coming out this holiday. So that's coming out as well. Um, yeah. And that is all I've got there. Yes, that's all I've got there. Happy Life Day. Yeah, CBM, that would be their logical choice, is to bring in James Gunn. The man is comic book fanboy through and through. He really is. Um, and he loves comics a lot. He knows, he's got a deep cuts of comics. He also has honed. I think he's honed his storylines enough. I mean, he would be the one that would be crazy enough to bring Batmite into this. Mr. Mitzel he'd bring him in there to a live action and do it right like an imp. Um, he would bring in like Ambush Bug. He would bring in crazy fucking characters. He really would, and they would work. And that's what DCEU needs, is more of a lighter touch. DC comics have always been the lighter version than Marvel. Marvel has always been the darker world. That's where you need to set yourself apart in these tones. That's why She-Hulk for me is a better series right now, because it's more of a lighthearted take of Marvel. And also that's what the comics were. It's a comic accurate. The series really is comic accurate. CGI aside, so the CGI work right now is kind of, it's a little bit on the iffy side. I've watched the last episode twice, and when she's sitting at her desk talking to Wong, her eyes are like way far apart. There's just something weird about them, and it kind of threw me off. Do I think James Gunn can do non-silly stuff? Yeah, he can. He's not I mean, look at Peacemaker. Peacemaker kind of goes back and forth between absurdity and then also serious shit. I mean, some really serious stuff. Like when he's talking about his brother, what happened to his brother in Peacemaker. It goes back and forth between that. He does it kind of effortless. He does it without any effort, really. And to all those people thinking, oh, well, he's just one note. He does comedy. He doesn't do comedy. He does comedy and he does pathos. Yes, he can do something without absurdity. He's done it already. So, and the thing is, he he's not going to be doing every single DC movie. I'm saying to oversee all of the DC comic movies and basically keep them in line. So that's what I'm talking about. He's not going to have his fingers in the production of everything. Well, he's is going to be the producer. He'd be the producer at that point, but he's not going to be setting the tone of it. Same thing with Marvel and Kevin Feige. CBM says, "Yeah, I do feel like like the budget for creating the model for Gen should not be relegated to TV budget, especially because they're going to use it more." Yeah, yeah, and I understand. I mean, it's mocap. Mocap is sometimes hard to work with when you're scaling things up and getting the proportions right. And if you don't have someone working on it correctly, so there were some scenes where it worked correctly, like when she's out on her date. When she's out on her date, the facial stuff looked good. When she's in the law office in that episode, her facial proportions are off. The face is spread out. It's kind of a weird thing. Um, and it threw me off as a viewer because I'm looking at the CGI and I'm like, "Eh." But it didn't throw me off enough for I'm just kind of like, oh my god, this is horrible, like everyone else has been doing, you know. So yeah, the lighting, it's not the movements, Stanley. It's the lighting is off. So the movements are all mocap. So they're all Tatiana Maslany moving around in, mocap. So it's mainly the lighting. And when the lighting gets thrown off, that is where it looks like other things get thrown off in relation to it. So I agree with you, CBM. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. You get that wide, yeah, and it really goes out, far. I know what you're talking about. That's the animators not keeping track of their, of their IK values. Yeah, they definitely rescaled. If you go back and take a look at a perfect example is the Megan Thee Stallion scene where she's twerking with her. And if you look at the non CGI, what they did, they had Tatiana Maslany on a platform. It was an L shaped platform so she could move around. And she's doing the dance and everything. She's doing all the dance numbers on that platform with her mocap rig on. And then when they animate it to that, they have to make the character reach the floor and they get rid of that platform and everything. And so, yeah, it's the rescaling. It is, I mean, you also have to deal with the muscles moving. So when you're rigging a character, you need to make sure that when you are rigging the muscles that they actually work correctly. And if you don't rig those properly, sometimes or if you fuck with the scale too much on it, I should say when you fuck with the values on it a little too much, overreacts and you get these weird deformations that happen and they look unnatural. And if you are overworked and on a deadline, sometimes they will push it through and go, that looks good enough, send it through because they're out of time. And I'm fairly sure that's what's going on. There's actually been a whole there's been a bunch of articles on it that the amount of CGI that's been demanded by Marvel of their animation houses right now is ridiculous to the point where people are quitting and also just they're being overworked and underpaid is what's going on, as usually is the case with animation. And it's just way, way, way too much work for the amount of people that they have. Yep, that also will happen, Stanley. Cloth is really hard to move. If you don't have people that work well with cloth movements and CGI, it's going to come off as unnatural. So, all right. I've been on long enough. I've talked long enough about a whole bunch of stuff. I'm gonna let you guys go for the rest of the day. So, what else do I have going on for the rest of this week? Well, CBM says the business suit is an interesting touch. She clearly is wearing a male suit. Yes. Well, she was saying that she can't find anything in her size, which is obvious. What else do I have going on for the rest of this week? Well, tomorrow is going to be House of the Dragon. I'm going to be talking about House of the Dragon tomorrow. Tuesday is going to be another episode of Is It Worth My Time? It's going to be the live action Pinocchio on Disney Plus. We'll be talking about that. Wednesday, I'll be off. Thursday will be the doubleheader, the evening of She-Hulk and Harley Quinn. Friday will be Lord of the Rings of Power. Saturday, I'm going to be off, and then we roll back around again to the Sunday edition of Saturday Morning Blast Off, where I take the genre news of the week and any other genre stuff you guys want to talk about, we talk about it. There you go. So, with that said, I want to thank everyone who joined me today in the chat, and thank you if you made it this far in the video. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. If you like what you see up there, hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule up there. I change it every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media there and all the links to my pages as well. So many green animated women at the moment. Lower Deck has one too. Yes, they do. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow for House of the Dragon. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may realize that there was just a shit ton of news this week and not enough time in order to go over all of it. So, yeah, I hit the highlights as much as I can. Thanks, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow. Until then, stay safe, be well, take care. Wear those masks, get those vaccine shots, get the boosters as well. They don't work without the boosters. And stay safe out there, everyone. Thanks. I will see you again tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day and a good rest of your weekend. And take care out there, everyone. Thanks. Have a good one.